Yeah, so welcome to the first class, Joshna ji. I would
Thank
just want to have a little more clarity on your background, the present experience that you hold.
uh, right. I in my current role, actually, I'm not directly involved in compliance.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm actually taking care of operation related matters. So we do have a tool called SVFM. So
Mm-hmm.
in that, actually, we are setting up some rules, and it is basically the system will trigger the mails to the clients. So
Mm-hmm.
even though it's completely taken care by the client banks, so I'm just in, you can say it's in a role of monitoring if in case any issue with the rules or rule set, they will come back to us. So there is no direct involvement for me in my current role.
Mm-hmm.
But as I informed earlier, I would like to switch my career to the compliance in payment domains itself, compliance. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why I'm actually looking forward to do the certification.
Okay, okay. Have you appeared for this exam as of now?
No, no,
Okay. Have you taken any membership of CAMS?
no.
Fine. Perfect. That is a very good thing you've done. Otherwise, the membership has a certain period, right? If you don't appear, then that is simply a waste. Okay.
Yeah,
Have
correct.
you gone through the manual once? Did you have access to the manual?
I do have the latest manual, which is 1 minute. I will tell you what I have. It's a study guide version 6.5. I believe that's the latest version.
Mhm.
But I not completely gone through the guide actually. To be honest, I've just read a little bit from here and there only.
Okay. Uh, any other existing experience in the field of financial crime?
While I was working in U Exchange for around 8 years. So
Acha.
while I was there, I was actually a part of this AML related checks. Like, but there also we were actually using a different kind of tools, like
Hmm.
in terms of monitoring the transactions, the customer documents, like that. So
Mhm.
directly, there is no such experience like raising an SAR or like that. Like nothing actually done in the compliance role. Nothing I have done. We were assisting the team with their requirements and the monitoring in a way which we can.
Hmm.
And if we are finding anything suspicious, we used to actually inform them, or we will just share the details with them like that only.
Okay, okay, perfect. So I hope you understand, since this is a global certification, so the approach that this certification demands is that we have a broader understanding of the concept, that is money laundering,
Okay.
and what other global bodies we have or statutes we have that talk about money laundering. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So this manual basically has four broad chapters. And
Uh-huh.
since the entire certification is around money laundering,
Uh-huh.
so we need to have a very good understanding of what money laundering is.
Okay.
Basically, money laundering is a process,
Yeah.
and this happens by using different structures. Okay.
Yes.
So different structures, entities, businesses, people are involved to complete this process of money laundering.
Correct.
And
Okay.
especially if we have any kind of financial crime. So the criminal would use money laundering to convert the illicit funds, to basically convert illegal money into legal money.
Okay.
So understanding of the structures, like I said, is very important. Like you may have heard about a shell company, shelf
Yeah.
company, right?
Yes. 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 I
Private
am.
investment corporations,
Yes.
companies, company formation agents, right? Similarly, we have something called gatekeepers.
Okay.
So we have to understand their role as to what do they actually do, what services do they provide, whether they individually are complying with the global regulations or not. Because the financial system is integrated. The global financial system that we have is integrated. One
Okay.
bank is relying on the other bank, right?
Yes. Correct.
So the banks in the US, Canada, they are relying on the Indian banks, other banks in the Middle East or
Yeah,
Japanese banks,
corresponding banking.
correspondent and respondent, absolutely. So
Okay,
it becomes very critical that we are implementing the regulation in the true spirit.
okay,
So if Basel Committee on Banking Supervision, the Basel Committee, it comes out with customer due diligence guidelines. So it is important that all the banks, they implement the directions that are being given by the Basel Committee.
okay,
Now, because we have different countries and every country has their own legal system, they have their own regulatory bodies. So the onus lies on the government, the regulatory bodies, the law enforcement agencies, how they implement the different guidelines of anti-money laundering.
okay.
Okay. I hope you're able to understand whatever has been shared.
Yes, yes.
Any doubt as of now,
No, like so far it is good.
right? And I hope the way I am communicating things, you're able to understand them.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
issues.
it is clear. It is clear.
Perfect, perfect. So as we'll progress with our classes, we'll
Mm-hmm.
be discussing the process of money laundering in detail. We'll
Okay.
be understanding these different structures which facilitate money laundering.
Uh-huh.
And also that, like I said, wherever financial crimes happen, their money laundering will happen for sure. Because any financial criminal would want to convert those proceeds by bringing them into the financial system, right?
Okay.
And
Yes, yes.
then we will also be developing a perspective that when you are performing a role of a compliance officer, your duties would be different. Whereas wherein you are performing the role of an investigative officer, an investigator, or an asset recovery officer, the role would be different.
Okay.
So here, since I also take classes for CFCS, which is little more broader in
Yes.
terms of syllabus, that is
Mm-hmm.
going to help in your preparation. You will be getting a better understanding,
Okay.
right? And this CAMS exam would be a cakewalk for you.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes, yes.
Achha. Any questions as of now?
No, so I just want to know a little bit information about how the classes will be like on weekends, which date and all
Yeah. So
time.
as of now, we are planning to have classes on Saturdays,
Mm-hmm.
right? And around 9 or 9:30 in the evening.
Okay.
Yes. In addition, if you have any doubts, we can always have a small session as per our mutual availability, just to clarify the doubts.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That is fine.
Yes. And like I said, um, in your free time, as and when you get time, you may just go through the FAT F40 recommendations. Okay.
Okay.
Because few of the questions are around those 40 recommendations.
Okay.
Otherwise, the question paper is more scenario based. So they'll be giving you a specific scenario and then they'll be asking you to choose the best alternative.
Okay.
So some of the questions are quite easy, very straightforward. And for some of the question, you would require conceptual clarity.
Okay.
Okay, as to what FATF guidelines say, or as to what the European Union guide directives say.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So I
Hmm.
like in the guide itself, I can go through this and
Yes,
just
yes.
go.
This is just to so that whenever we take class, you have some background,
Okay. Correct.
right?
Correct.
I mean, otherwise we'll be starting from the scratch. So I'll be explaining everything.
Yeah, I like when you ask, like I might not be able to explain like what I am aware. Like I believe I have some basic knowledge about this shell companies, this
Mhm.
layering, this placement, these things.
Hmm.
So gone through a very little bit, but
Hmm.
yeah, like I'll go through this guide and I'll just try to gather more information.
Yes, yes. Because see, for passing any exam and subsequently to build reading stamina, I would
Yeah,
request you if you can spare 20, 25 minutes a day, if not more. but that
Okay.
should be on a regular basis.
Regular basis.
Yeah, gradually you will see that, you would develop this love for reading. Okay.
Yeah, like, to be honest, I'm very lazy to read, so that's why I'm not able to. I don't have an idea how the questions actually appear and how many questions it will be in CAMS. I do that it will be multiple like question like and with multiple answers.
Yeah.
I actually took some sample questions as well, like which is actually like around 100 or some 100 questions I received, wherein the questions are really big and the answers are like very similar. Like I was actually getting confused to
Yes,
select.
yes.
Yeah,
That is why I said conceptual clarity is very important.
correct, correct.
For the CAMS exam, you will be having 120 questions and you will be given a time of 3.5 hours,
Okay.
right? And
Oh, will be with the multiple and like answers or
this is more than sufficient time.
okay.
For CFCS, there are 145 questions. And if you will see those questions, then you will yourself say that CAMS is actually very easy, because the questions here that you will get in CAMS are relatively very easy. The
Yeah.
scenarios are not that complex. Okay. So
Okay.
3.5 hours for this exam is more than sufficient. You will be able to easily complete the exam by 2 and 2.5 hours.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Correct.
Now, just to give you one starting mantra, when we say money laundering, so always
Mhm.
remember it is PLI, placement, layering, integration.
Okay.
So it's PLI, placement, layering, integration,
Okay.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
And whenever you see tax evasion happening,
Okay.
so ultimately the tax evader is going to use money laundering
Okay.
as a tool to convert the illegal gains and bring them into the financial system. Okay,
Okay.
these are some very common things to remember.
Okay.
Just like it is very important that we ascertain the beneficial owners carefully. So whenever we are onboarding a new customer, this is applicable for all banks and all financial institutions,
Mhm.
that we properly identify the customers. We basically identify the ultimate beneficial owner of that account. Based
Okay.
on that, we would be classifying the level of risk posed by that customer, and then there will be regular monitoring of that account. These are the 4 pillars of the KYC policy. Of course, we'll be dealing in detail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm. So as of now, you haven't read the manual once, right? You've been reading tits and bits.
Yeah. True. Like
Hmm.
from
Hmm.
here, like Basel committee, like that.
Hmm.
Then I will search with flags and I'll go through that. But nothing actually is like I'm not actually able to grasp anything by
Hmm.
reading here and there. I
Yes,
know
yes,
that
yes.
it's very important to go through this guide to start with. So as you mentioned, I will go through that.
Yeah,
If
no
we,
issues. It was just to develop that habit of reading, like I
yeah,
said, because in exam you have to read. You getting my point?
yes, the
There is no
question,
alternative to it.
yes,
So for that, we have to develop that practice, and you can start it by doing for 15-20 minutes.
yeah,
Because
sure.
anyhow, you have to sit there in for the exam 3.5 hours. And if I'm saying that you will complete it in 2 to 2.5 hours, so still you've got to sit patiently. That you're not restless. You're able to concentrate.
Okay, correct.
Yeah. So similarly, just to add another thing. So in many questions, the question would be around the role of a compliance officer. So you have to imagine that, you are the compliance officer, and then there is a scenario, and then they are asking you to choose 3 or 2 answers.
Okay,
So here you must understand that when you are performing a role of a compliance officer, basically you have to comply with some set of guidelines,
okay,
right? Now,
yeah,
those guidelines can be of your own institution. So let's say your company has a particular policy.
Okay.
So when you are performing a role of a compliance officer, so you will have to see whether we are complying with the policy of the institution or not. Similarly, there are some policies given by the regulatory body, the regulator, which are the
Yeah.
regulations. So we have to see whether we are complying with those regulations or not.
Okay.
Similarly, we have sanctions list. So many a times, United Nations Security Council, it will come out with a sanctions list, and it is prohibited to get into business with any person or entity whose name appears on that list, right? Now,
Yes.
until and unless you don't have access to that list, you will not be able to comply with it, will you?
Correct. No, no.
So the idea is that only if you know what the law is, what the regulation is, only then you will be able to implement it, no?
Correct.
Right? So this thing has to be kept in mind that whenever you are performing the role of a compliance officer, you will be getting at least 15 to 20 questions. The scenarios would be different, but the questions will say, you are a compliance officer in a bank and you have observed certain red flags.
Yes.
So, how should you react? What should be your action? And then there will be 4 options. I should report it to the board of directors. I should do an investigation and file an STR, or I should speak with the defaulter, right? Different options. So we
Option.
have to choose which is most relevant to the context of the question. And I don't, you may be thinking, as of now, whatever I'm saying may not be making much sense, but this is just to give you a broader outline.
Yeah, I do understand that based on like we have to be sure about like what are the guidelines which have accordingly we have to select the
Yeah, see, because in one question, you are a compliance officer, in another question, you are an investigator. So
yes.
now you have to see as an investigator. Now you are no more a compliance officer, right?
Yes.
So your
Yes.
company's guidelines don't matter. Now what matters? The law of the land.
Yes.
So whatever jurisdiction is there in that scenario, since you are representing investigator in that jurisdiction, so you will have to behave as an investigator. You will have to think as an investigator.
Mm.
And so that is a slightly little different.
Yes, correct.
Yes. So this is the kind of approach that we would be developing. And I just want to hear a little more from you, whatever you wish to say. I just want to, get a sense. Uh, and accordingly, I'll be discussing the classes. Whatever you
Like
want to share, whatever your future goals, anything.
the future calls is like I want to secure a good position in like I'm focusing on the fintech only, the
Hmm.
payment and cards industry. So I'm from a I have done my graduation in economics, so nothing is related. I'm not doing what I studied.
Hmm.
So it's all actually I learned while it's all from the experience. So right now in fintech, I am seeing a good opportunity in this compliance field, wherein I would like to explore that more and to secure a good position. It's basically to secure a good career in this field.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I thought that like I was trying to do this certification for maybe like 1 year plus now.
Hmm.
I I even attended one training with Mr.
Yeah, yeah.
Uzam.
That Vineet told me about.
Yeah, so it is my fault only because
Hmm.
I was not actually giving 100% also.
Hmm.
So I just joined in that. Then I got busy with this current work, and I was not actually reading the guide,
Hmm.
this guide, and also the touch actually gone. So even
Hmm.
he didn't give an idea about like now you mentioned about how many questions and all, how many like how much hours it will take. But in that I get an idea about that. So
Hmm.
I was seeing the guide, guide itself like for some 400 500 pages. So I will just start, then I will stop, then I will start, then stop. So it was not consistent.
Hmm.
So I was not putting my 100%. So Vinny told me that if you are really looking forward to get the certification, this is the right thing, that you'll get the right direction and training. So I thought, okay, anyway, my goal is to achieve the certification at least within 2 months. I'm not sure with my knowledge I'll be able to achieve it, but I'm ready to put my effort now. So I have to, I'm not sure about with my knowledge how much time it will take, but I do actually. Right now. It's like I'm ready to put my effort to learn or whatever it is. So it's just. So I'm actually working as a tester plus operation support here. It is a service provider which is providing end-to-end support to the banks in Somalia. So Somalia is in sanction list. So, but I'm not directly involved in any kind of compliance. When I'm just looking from outside and seeing the transactions are happening. So we do have a third party provider wherein that tool we are using. So I was being a part of that project wherein we are setting up certain rules, like customer is using our card multiple times, like within 10 minutes, like we'll trigger a mail to the certain officer who is actually taking care of the transactions, like that. So certain set of rules we actually prepared and shared with them, like same amount or big amount is transferred in certain period of time, like that. So that is only involvement for me in this current role. And the previous role also, like I used to monitor the high volume transactions, the customers, those who are actually doing high volume transactions. I used to verify their profile, their documents, where the source of income. If that is not matching, I used to request them the documents and match. Then only I used to process the transaction. So it's from like a first line only I was doing. So I was not directly like creating or any reports or anything. So we directly, I'll just prepare a report or the details of the customers which I'm feeling suspicious and send to the team. So that is what I was doing.
Okay.
That is so far.
And if you don't mind, how old are you?
I'm 34 now.
Okay. So you're 89 born.
90.
Okay, 90.
Yeah.
Fine. So see, the only reason why I said that you must read is because ultimately you have to sit in the exam. Okay. So you should be able to sit. You getting my point?
Yes,
I don't expect, because since you're working, so I don't expect that you can put in a lot of hard work. So all is required is that you attend the classes and you are aware and involved.
Yes.
Right. And always speak up your mind, because that is one way I can find out as to how much you understand a particular topic, your level of present understanding of the topic.
Correct.
Right. Like, and always remember that, even 2, 3, 5 minutes are very useful. So with working professionals, please understand this, that long sitting hours are not required.
Correct.
If you can read even for 10 minutes, that is more than sufficient. To understand a shell bank, a shell company, or a shelf company, 5 to 10 minutes is more than sufficient. So you have to start reading on the go. But for that, you should know what to read.
Yes.
Right. So it is like clarity of vision. So we should know what the syllabus is. Right?
Correct.
So before reading the manual, you should just go through the syllabus. You should know that there are 4 main chapters, and within those chapters, these are the subtopics.
Okay.
Right? Since this is on anti-money laundering, so money laundering is the core subject here.
Yes.
Around this, the major legislation, the major global body that we have is FATF. So they have 40 recommendations.
Okay.
Similarly, we have directives given by European Union.
Okay.
Okay. So we have many other international bodies who have given some guidance regarding anti-money laundering. So we should be aware about them. Why? Because in certain scenarios wherein you will be tasked to perform as a compliance officer, if you'll not know those regulations, you will not be knowing what to do, no?
Correct.
right? Now, just to share a little more light. So every organization, every institution, especially financial institutions, the board of directors, they are responsible to appoint a qualified individual as a compliance officer.
Okay.
So who is appointing? The board of directors.
For characters,
Board
yes.
of directors are the highest decision making authority in any organization.
Mhm.
Okay. And it is their responsibility to appoint a well qualified individual.
Okay.
So qualification can also be on the basis of certain certification and also on the basis of the experience one's hold, right?
Yes.
Now, this compliance officer is responsible for managing all the aspects of the compliance program.
Okay.
I hope this is clear as of now.
Yes, yes, that is clear.
Who is going to appoint? The board of directors.
All of characters,
Now,
yes.
they can't appoint someone who is not responsible. So the person has to be responsible.
Mhm.
So usually when they will come out with a recruitment, they will list out as to what qualities they are looking for in a compliance officer.
Definitely, yes.
Maybe the person should have worked in the same industry. The person should have experience of certain number of years, or
Yes.
maybe he should hold CAMS or a particular certification. This will be decided by the board of directors as
Okay.
to what they think is the yardstick for competence. Okay,
Mhm. Yeah,
clear?
clear.
And this compliance officer, his main role is to ensure that he manages all the aspects related to the compliance program.
Okay.
So he should be well aware about the respective regulators' guidelines. So if I give you an example of India, here Reserve Bank of India is one of the regulators, SEBI is one of the regulators, IRDAI is one of the regulators, right?
Yeah.
So depending on the sector
Okay.
where you are performing as a compliance officer, you need to know the regulation of that sectoral regulatory body. Like for real estate, we will have a different regulatory body.
Okay. Different set of rules like that.
Absolutely. Please
Okay.
understand this is very critical.
Mhm.
As the sector changes, like shipping is a different sector, tourism is a different sector,
Insurance like that.
health, insurance.
Yeah.
Matlab, if you see, I'm discussing sectors away from the financial sector.
Correct.
Health, tourism, sports,
Yes.
all these are sectors, right?
Yes,
They
yes.
are sectors of what? The economy or the financial system.
Okay.
Basically, they are sectors of the economy.
Okay.
And every sector may have a regulatory body.
Okay.
Now, who forms the regulatory body? The government.
Okay.
So basically, in every country, we have somebody who is running that government,
Okay.
right?
Yes, correct.
In democracy, we have the elected governments, right? And
Yes.
basically, they are the elected representatives.
Yes.
Okay, please get this broader understanding of how things work.
Mm-hmm.
So, in every country across the world, we will see that they have some form of some system of governance.
Correct.
It may be communism, that means communists, or it may be democracy, right?
Yes.
So the person who has been entrusted with this responsibility to run the nation, they are the ones who form the laws,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Correct.
Now, if I am managing a country, I cannot do everything on my own.
Mm.
So I have to delegate power. Of course, I will have to supervise them, but I will have to give power to someone else.
Yeah.
In most democratic countries, like US is a democratic nation, Canada, India, right?
Yeah.
Britain, basically they are the ones where major legislations are made.
Okay.
Even United Nations, if for a reason may say, even there, the representatives are sent to represent particular nation.
Correct.
Right. So
Yeah.
in order to run a particular country or in order to run a particular institution, even board of directors, they have to appoint different people and then, delegate power to them.
Mhm.
So you have to tell them, so this is going to be your responsibility and, you have to achieve this. Right.
Yes.
So coming back to the sectors I was referring to, we have different sectors, right?
Okay.
And government or the authority which is running the nation, it will create a regulatory authority. So in democratic nations, what happens is initially a bill will be tabled. What
Okay.
will be tabled? A bill.
Okay.
It is also called draft legislation.
Okay.
It is called draft because it is not finalized.
Okay.
Okay. It is subject to change,
Mhm.
but it is legislation. Legislation means law, which is about to be law.
Okay.
So it is in the draft process. That means it is subject to changes.
Change. Yeah.
So in democratic nations, what happens is that once a bill is introduced, the representatives, they may discuss the merits and the demerits.
Yes.
Once it is approved by whatever body is there, in India, we have Parliament, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. In
Mhm.
America, we have Senate, right? So once it is approved by that lawmaking body, what we call as legislature, it becomes an act. It becomes an
Act.
act. And once that act is implemented, that means once the government or whichever authority is ruling that nation, once they decide that this should be implemented, it becomes a law. It becomes a
Law.
law. Now,
Okay.
why do we need an act or a law? Once something is created through an act or a law, it has more powers.
Yeah.
So act is also called statute. Statute, Statute, statute. So such bodies are also called statutory bodies. Statutory bodies because they have been created through a statute, through a law. So they are more powerful, right?
Yes.
So across the world, whatever sectors we have, especially now if we talk about the financial sector, we have different regulatory bodies
Okay.
and they have been created through this statute.
Okay.
So whatever guidelines this statute says, these are called statutory guidelines. These are called,
Statutory guidelines.
yes, because they are coming from where? From the act, from the statute.
Okay.
Based on this, the regulator will form certain guidelines, and these are called regulatory guidelines.
Okay.
Why? Because who is giving these? The regulatory body is coming out with these.
Okay.
So the guidelines which the regulator gives, these are called regulatory guidelines. And the guidelines which are coming from a statute, from a law, these are called statutory guidelines. Clear?
It's clear. Yes.
See, this is not directly related, but this is just to develop the context to give you an idea.
Correct.
Now, you must have heard about cryptocurrencies.
Yes.
So as of now, if I give you an example of India, we do not have any regulation. That means there is no regulatory body who is regulating cryptocurrencies.
Okay.
Across the world, as of now, there are no global regulations around cryptocurrencies. So because of lack of clarity,
Uh-huh.
because of lack of legal directions, law
Okay.
enforcement agents, they don't know what to do in case frauds or crime happen in the cryptocurrencies.
Okay.
Because in order for law enforcement agents to do something, they need to have some law. Yes or
Yes.
no?
Yes. Yes.
When
They
there
should.
is no law, they
Yeah.
can't do anything. Now, why is the regulatory body not doing anything? Because there is no law. Regulatory body can't do anything.
Okay.
Regulatory body is deriving its power from the statute, from the act.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Any doubt as of now?
No.
Okay.
So right
Hmm.
now you are telling like I came to know that there are certain things actually included in this guide. I read something about crypto in this guide. So there is no like AML regulations as
No,
like
AML regulations are there.
uh,
Basically, we have to understand that the present challenger around cryptocurrency is the anonymity that it brings.
okay.
Okay. Just like if you want to set up a bank, you have to apply for a license,
Yes.
and there is a specific approval process.
Okay.
Only once you comply with it, you get the license.
Yes.
On top of it, we have KYC guidelines, know your customer.
Mhm.
So if you want to set up a bank or a financial institution, you have taken permission.
Yes.
In order to get that permission, you had to submit some documents.
Correct.
Now, those documents were basically you revealing your identity, your source of capital, right? So
Yes. Yes.
basically, you told everything about yourself, right?
Yes.
And then the regulatory body thought, okay, you are fit and proper, so we'll give you the license. Understand this.
Yes. Yes.
The problem with cryptocurrencies is that the users who are creating accounts, they are anonymous. This is how it
Okay.
all started. Initially,
Mm.
there was no KYC guidelines on them, or they were very lax, very
Mhm.
relaxed. So any anonymous entity person could open a crypto account and hold cryptocurrencies in it, right?
Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
since it is difficult to track, if tomorrow any crime happens, how will you catch hold of the criminal? This is a challenge. You getting my point?
Yes. Yes.
Now, as far as banks are concerned, we have correspondent and respondent accounts banking. So that means banks, they have some relation contact with one another.
Mhm.
Then we have things like MLATs, Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty. MLAT is basically an agreement between two nations that we'll be sharing and providing assistance on sharing information regarding tax, financial frauds, crimes. Okay, this will depend on the agreement the two countries have.
Mhm.
So you have some mechanism. Let's say if a fraud has happened between India, a criminal between who is residing between India and Oman or Jordan. So if these two countries have some agreement, they will have some base to take some action.
Okay.
In the absence of this agreement, the Indian enforcement agents will not know what to do, and the officials in Oman would not know what to do. Yes or no?
Yeah. Correct.
Because when these frauds happen, the criminal is not located to a particular jurisdiction. The
Mhm.
person may be remotely in, say, Yemen, Sudan, right?
Yes.
And they may be committing crime in some other country, European country.
Okay.
Now, tomorrow, if the European enforcement agents they want to take any action, they need to have some sort of arrangement with the Yemen authorities or Sudan authorities. Yes or no?
Yes.
Else, they can't do anything because it is a separate country. Now they can't attack, right?
Yes.
So, since countries are interdependent on one another, and most of the countries are part of United Nations,
Okay.
they agree to abide by certain conditions.
Mhm.
And anti-money laundering is one such global phenomenon.
Correct.
If you don't comply with the standards set by bodies like FATF, they can put you under the grey list. So if FATF puts a country under the grey list, like recently it had happened with Pakistan, so they were not getting any uh, foreign investment.
Oh, okay.
Got it? Because what
Yeah.
happens is these guidelines given by FATF and other global bodies, they will prohibit global financial institutions, banks from, transferring more funds to the Pakistani banks or promoting foreign investment in Pakistan or
Mhm.
whatever country is in the grey list.
Okay.
You got it?
Yes.
Why? Since we all are part of the global financial system, and now there are some global bodies, so we have to comply with the directions given by them. If we don't comply, they have the power that they will, uh, and since their power is accepted, when FATF is putting a country in gray list, had if it had no acceptance, then it would not have mattered. But since it is accepted, since FATF has credibility, since it has acceptance, so every country wants to comply with its provisions.
Okay.
Why would a bank fear its regulator? Because if it will not comply, then the regulator may penalize it
Yeah, they
or
might not.
cancel the license.
Yeah.
So there is some fear, no?
Yes.
That if you don't do this, we'll do this.
Yeah.
So that is why compliance becomes very important and the role of compliance officer becomes very critical.
Okay.
Okay. This is just to give you some overview. Please do not feel at any point in time that it is becoming too much.
And
Okay.
like, yes,
Hmm.
yes.
Please go ahead. You were saying something.
No, no, like that you asked me to read that FATF 40 recommendations, right?
Huh.
Okay.
And it's like
So
you drink tea?
yes, of course.
So whenever you are sipping a cup, just read 2 points, right?
Okay, okay.
So very little efforts
Mm-hmm.
consistently.
Sure, sure.
Just before going to sleep, read a paragraph or a page.
Yeah.
Once you get up, read a page. This way you will develop liking towards reading, and this
Mm-hmm.
will sharpen or strengthen your intent to pass the exam.
Yes, correct.
These are small tips that will
Mm.
definitely help, right?
Yeah. Yes,
And
yes.
for few days, you may find it too much
Yes.
because I'm giving you the framework. Whatever I shared is not directly relevant. Understand this,
Yeah, yeah. Like
right? But
it,
to draw a bigger picture as
yeah.
to how things happen, I just shared all this.
Mm-hmm.
Clear?
Wonderful. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And whenever you get time, you can, uh, again, listen to this video.
Yes,
You will
sure.
get an idea as to what was discussed,
Mm-hmm.
right? And whatever I shared, I have the manual right in front of me, the compliance officer part that I discussed, no?
Okay.
So this is to keep on track. Otherwise, with me, it's like I can go anywhere. So to
Yeah.
keep myself, in line, because as of now, our target is only to clear CAMS.
Yes, correct.
Yes. So I hope you found this session interesting.
Yes, like I got an idea about like it is, to be honest, it is very, like I'm able to relate things like I actually I know or I heard about this regulatories, the
Hmm.
statutory regulations like that, but I never actually understand like maybe the paragraph wise I might have read that
Hmm.
definition and all. Yeah, I might have gone through.
Hmm.
But yeah, when you're explaining, yeah, it is a little bit more actually interesting and like I can relate, like I can understand how things are actually happening. So
Hmm.
yeah, it
Okay.
is
Again, let me give you another example. Let's
okay.
say you want to drive a vehicle, right?
Okay.
Now, in
Yes,
most countries, in fact, in every country, you'll have to obtain a license.
correct.
It is just like you want to set up a bank or an insurance company or a business that you have to obtain a license. In some sectors, obtaining this license is very rigorous, depending on the sensitivity of the sector. Since money is involved in the financial sector, that means
Mhm.
people's investment, it is their hard-earned money. So here the standards of obtaining license are very rigorous, very strong, stringent,
Okay,
right?
correct.
Now, when you have to obtain a license to drive on the road, you go to a particular body, right?
Yes.
You'll not go to the authorities that provide you electricity connection or water connection.
No,
Do you?
No.
You will go to that authority who has been interested with this role of providing license to anyone who wants to drive.
Correct.
Now they have certain parameter. Who has decided this? The licensing authority, the regulatory authority. The person should be 18 years of age. He should not be disabled, right? Similarly for banks, this much capital should become. The structure should be a public limited company or a company. So you see, they are setting up the requirement. Who is setting up? The regulatory body.
Everybody.
Now, how come regulatory body got that power? From some statute. So in India, we have Motor Vehicles Act 1988. So similarly, in the present country where you are, there would be some law.
Correct.
Because of which certain authorities are enjoying certain powers. Right?
Correct.
Now, again, understand, when you're driving on the road, you can be fined, challaned, penalized only by a certain particular person.
Correct.
Can a doctor do your challan?
No.
Because he is not having that power.
Yes.
Now, who gave that power? The Act, the statute.
Yes.
Reserve Bank of India Act 1934 led to the setting up of RBI. SEBI Act 1992 led to the establishment of SEBI. Initially, SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India, when it started, it was not a statutory body. That means when it was created, it was not created from any law. So for initial 4 years, from 1988 to 1992, SEBI had very hard time performing its work because people were not taking SEBI seriously. In 1992, an act was passed, a law was made, and then SEBI became a statutory body. So when did SEBI become a statutory body? When a law was passed. Any authority which is set up through a statute is called a statutory body. Fine. Now that statute, that law will say that under this act, this regulatory body will be created. This regulatory body will have a chairman or a governor or a director, and it will have so many deputy directors. These will be the roles performed by the regulatory body. So from where is this all coming? From the statute. Got it? So if RBI or if any regulator is performing any function, they are doing it because they have been given that power by the statute. Through the statute, they have been entrusted that power. Now, whatever guidelines the regulatory body will give, they are called regulatory guidelines. They are called
Regulatory guidelines.
Yes. This is applicable across the world. So for we as compliance officers, as law enforcement agents, we need to be aware about the statute, which is more powerful, a statute or a regulator? This is the question. What is more powerful, the statute, the statutory body, or the regulatory body?
The statutory body, right?
Very nice. Because it is created from an act. It is a law.
Yes.
Law is more strong than a mere guideline.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
And then would be your particular company's guidelines. Just like RBI is not bigger than the government. Who is the strongest? The government is the strongest.
Yes.
Then the regulatory body, because regulatory body is getting all its power from the government.
Correct.
Right? And then within the regulatory body, the authorities, the entities that have been given license, they will perform as per the directions, as per the framework set up by regulatory body. Like every regulatory body, be it insurance, be it foreign exchange, be it banking, be it capital market, it says that the regulator will ensure that all the institutions that has been licensed by it, they work transparently. So what does this mean? So if I am a bank and if I am opening accounts for customers, so I should be transparent in my dealings.
Yes.
I should not charge any wrong fees, right? I should not miscommunicate anything. Basically, I should not cheat the customer, because there is a sector and there is a regulatory body for it. And the regulatory body has given some guidelines. So I have to work within those guidelines.
Mhm.
If I bypass those guidelines, I can be penalized by the regulatory body.
Correct.
Fine.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is it for today.
Okay.
If you have any question, please let me know.
No, so far all good. I'll just try to read something, and maybe next session I might
Yeah, yeah.
come up with questions.
No issues. And like I said, just keep it simple.
Sure.
Read small paragraphs. No
Mhm.
need to overload yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in weekly, we'll be having one class, right? Like as
Ye-
you mentioned, Saturday.
Yes. And in addition, I mean, you may please tell me your work timings, by what time you get free. So I don't mind adding another class during the week, right?
Yeah.
The idea is that, you are able to understand, and there should be improvement in your understanding. That is
Correct.
important.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now we'll go with this one session. So you'll be able to monitor like how is my knowledge, and based on that you can actually
That is
suggest.
important. This is
Yeah.
just like doctor prescribing a medicine,
Yeah.
right? That if you
Yes.
read, or whatever little you read, and then we speak, we interact, so I know, whether your understanding is right or not,
Yes.
and then
Correct.
I correct it.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So it's very interesting.
Okay.